machine learning algorithms, or we can do the predictive maintenance, predictive analytics. That kind of things we can do at the cloud side. So, and this is again the building blocks in the IoT. Uh, uh, we have gone a little bit deeper, and here I have tried to at the right side you will see that what part is more relevant to the uh, EC background students and what is more relevant to the CS computer science students. Uh, but this is at a broad level. Actually, students are right now the market is quite competitive. You should be having expertise in one field, but you should be having knowledge about other fields also. So it is not like that EC student, EC freshers or the graduates, they should not have knowledge about the CS part. That way it will not work. So you should have knowledge that minimum knowledge about how to utilize the other parts. So the if we talk about the lowest part, that is the devices, the sensor, actuator, and embedded. So this is the basic part where the actual action will happen, or the sensor will be there, and then these devices would be sending initial data to gateways through a short range protocol, because gateway would be in a very close proximity. So this data would be sent either through Bluetooth, that as we discussed earlier, Wi-Fi, Z-Wave, Zigbee, RFID. So there are this kind of multiple other communication mediums also that can be used to send data from device to the gateway. And then gateway will have little bit edge computing, as we just discussed in the last slide. It would be doing some protocol conversion, some further connectivity because it has to send data further to the server. So that connectivity also it has to support, and the protocol conversion and edge computing it has to do. This is the part of gateway, and then the further connectivity. This connectivity is for long range, where it will provide the internet connectivity so that it can connect to the server. So here 2G, 3G, the cellular network comes, wireline, it means Ethernet, NB-IoT can be there, and white space spectrum. There are multiple other technologies, and LoRa. LoRa is the very much upcoming technology that gives very like up to 3-4 kilometers line of sight uh, connectivity. Uh, it is kind of a local network. You need not to go to the cellular network, and we will discuss a little bit about LoRa also. And then on top of this, there is the management platform, that how do you manage the devices underneath, and if there is some new devices coming up which is going out of order, and how do we do the inventory management, CRM. So these kind of different applications will be here, and on top of that, another the deep analytics we can run. There can be some rule engines or machine learning others that we can run, and on top of that is the user specific applications, that for what purpose we are using all these layers. So the top layer application could be fleet management, healthcare, smart cities, industrial, or home security. So there could be multiple other applications also. Hello. So these are the applications. So if we see that the upper these two layers in the orange one, these are kind of black box for the EC students. So they EC student, because here there is lot of programming is needed, and this comes under the cloud computing and cloud computing part. But if we talk about the machine learning, also it comes in this one. Machine learning is open to all branches. It is not limited to the CS part. If we come to the lower 4 layers or 3 layers, these are basically black box for the CS engineers. They don't they need not to know that how the things are happening. They should know that what things they can do, the like connectivity medium or with the different devices, what can be done, or what are the APIs through which they can access it. But they need not to work they should not have, it is not needed that they have to have hands-on necessarily. So this below part is the black box for the CS, but EC students are expected to have very good expertise in this part. The upper one is black box for EC, but it is expected that CS students should have very good expertise in these layers. So this is the like in normal terms in very, but there is no hard line in these layers that CS will not do the other part or EC students will not do other part. It's open to everybody, but minimal thing is expected from each branch of students. And again, this is the different layers that we had discussed: the edge layer, fog layer, and cloud layer. So edge layer is a kind of at the gateway side. If we do some kind of the processing, so that is the edge layer. And from on between edge layer and the cloud layer, there is another layer, fog layer. So at the local network where we are collecting data from multiple gateways. So if we collect data at in some database or at a local server, and we run some analytics, that is called fog layer. So it is kind of like cloud has come close to the edge. So that is kind of fog layer. And cloud layer is the one that we have the cloud computing and we are running all the analytics at the cloud side. So that is called cloud layer. So again, the cloud layer has the very deep learning we can run here. It has lot of historical data. Fog layer cannot have, it has limitation with respect to memory. So it can have some processing up to some say days or some months for the uh, historical processing. As layer is does the processing on the instant data, on the real time data. It will not have, because it has memory limited. We don't have very much memory at the microcontroller side. So we have to have computation at the real time data. At the edge layer, fog layer is little, it has little more memory, and cloud layer has no computation. We can scale up to any memory, and we can run data on the past data, any predictive maintenance algorithm or any other algorithms to have the proper business intelligence. And this is the logical design of IoT. So these are the, if we talk about the devices at the underneath, and then the communication services and application, and two verticals are that how to manage all these devices underneath, and what is the security. Security is the very big aspect in IoT. If we don't have, we don't solve this security issues, concerns from the various industries, the IoT will not become successful. It will remain kind of very ad hoc kind of applications. So security is the major part. And these are the protocols that we use in IoT. At the physical layer side, we have Ethernet, Wi-Fi, WiMAX. And network side, network layer, it is IPv4, IPv6. So IPv6 is very important for IoT because it needs more millions and billions of devices it has to address. So it should have more addressing space. So IPv6 is more relevant now. And then the transport layer, we use TCP, UDP. Application layer, it uses HTTP, SUAP, WebSocket, MQTT. So in out of these application, MQTT is the most used protocol, and TCP UDP is anyway it is default, it will be used at the transport layer. So these are the basic application basic IoT protocol layers, and these are the different protocols. So at the right hand side you can see the different layers: application, then the transport layer, network layer, and the lowest one is the link layer, that is called the physical layer also. If you want to learn more about what are these protocols, I think it is again a big topic. We cannot cover everything here, but the purpose of telling you all these protocols so that you can get aware, and these are very much needed. It is not just a theory. You are all these protocols are mostly freely available, open source. You can, and lot of exercises are given on. You can find on the net. It is very easy to learn. It is just like mental blockage. Generally, students have that. It is very tough thing. But if they start browsing and start learning it in the real terms, then I think it will be very easy for them to learn. and it will like they will enjoy it. IoT is really a kind of technology that you can practice yourself and you can learn. So in other terms, most of the in many seminars I speak that it is kind of beta. You until unless you don't practice it, you don't know what it is. So IoT, you have to make your hands dirty. Then only you will come to know it is. It has lot of variety from the hardware to software level. It gives you a very big exposure. And this is the protocol. Broadly, I will discuss the what are these protocols. So there will be client and server model. So client would be asking for data from the server. So it will be request response model. So this is, I think you would have seen in many applications, or maybe in your curriculum also you would have read about request response model. So these HTTP, XMPP, and COAP, these protocols work based on the request response model, client server model. So this is one protocol. Another is publish subscribe model. This is very much used in all the IoT applications. So publish subscribe model, and that is mostly driven by the MQTT. So there will be a broker in between, and the publisher and the consumer. These are the clients. The publisher will also be a client, and consumer will also be a client. So publisher has to publish on some topic to the broker, and whenever there is data is published on the broker, it will check what are the subscribers or the consumers who have registered with the broker, and it will publish data in their database. So it will notify them that new data has come. So it makes the things very much flexible. Publisher need not to know that who is the consumer. So this way of modeling has made it very much modular for adoption in multiple applications. So this publish subscribe model or the protocol is widely used in IoT applications. So I would uh, suggest to all the students who are keen to know or to learn about IoT, they should go through the MQTT or the publish subscribe communication protocol. Then we will quickly touch the IoT connectivity. We have seen that IoT connectivity are like one thing is that we have to connect from things to the gateway, and the another part is gateway to the server. So we have two kind of connectivity. One is the local connectivity, and another one is the network connectivity to the server or to the cloud, where we need the IP connection. So if we see that what is the current technologies that are being used, and what are the business cases, and what are the new technologies that are pushed by IoT. So existing technologies are like short range, it is Ethernet, Wi-Fi, but these gives high speed. Uh, if we talk about short range but moderate speed, it is Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, Thread, and 802.15.4. So these are the technologies that are already being used in the various industries, various applications. And these are the business cases where we have to do the long range high power, that is cellular, satellite, and microwave. So these are the majorly business case driven technologies, and these are already in use. IoT, due to IoT, LoRa, Sigfox, and Web IoT, these are the major technologies. Those are pushed by the IoT. LoRa, I think the students should also try to explore LoRa in smart city applications and many other places. LoRa or LPWAN, the low power wide area network, this technology is being used. Or LoRa full range is long range. So it is giving connectivity without going to the internet or without going to the cellular network. You can cover up to 3 to 4 kilometers line of sight. Theoretically, they say that range can be achieved up to 10 kilometers. But because we are working on this LoRa products, we were able to achieve up to 3 to 4 kilometers. That is the practical achievable, and this is low power. So the battery, since IoT devices are generally battery operated, they cannot be main power and powered. So there is power consumption is a major factor. So the device should consume as low power as possible. So because of this feature of LoRa that it consumes very less power, this technology is widely used in all the applications, smart city and other one. And then we talk about the IoT cloud platform. Who are the vendors who are providing the cloud platform solutions? So I think some of them students would have used like ThinkSpeak. They would be quite aware, and SparkFun they would have used AWS and Azure. They would have already heard. But other than this, there are some more IoT platform provider also like IBM is providing IBM Watson IoT. Uh, General Electrics Predix. So Watson IoT and Predix they are majorly used in industries where we have to monitor multiple machines and we have to control the different processes. It is used in the process automation.
मैं तो ये फोन पे कनेक्ट करता हूँ और बाकी
अरे
फिर
बाबू बहुत चिल्लाएगा।
बैठा रहता हूँ। फलाना कर दो, ये कर दो, ये कर दो, ये क्विज कर दो।
Now we come to the IoT applications. What are the IoT applications? I think most of you are aware of about this common IoT applications. One is the smart grid, smart health, smart home. So wherever we use the smart word, it is because of the IoT, because we are putting some sensors and we are getting data and we are running analytics on top of this, so that we can bring out the business intelligence. So the thing will become smarter. It can take the decision itself, or we can bring out the beauty of the data that is coming out from the sensors. So this is the different applications, smart grid. So all these applications would be having some sensors, and again the gateway and the sending data to the server through some communication medium, and we are running the analytics. These are two of the applications. And if we talk about the LPWAN, LoRaWAN application, so here, uh, if we see at the left hand side, there will be end devices. Those are LoRaWAN enabled. LoRaWAN is the stack part of LPWAN, low power wide area network. So if we, it is the kind of, you can say, mind mind of this technology, which will control, which will manage all the devices, and it will define some set of rules that all devices have to follow. So this is done by the LoRaWAN, and the LoRaWAN is deployed in smart cities, smart metering. So whenever we have the water meter, or it could be a electricity metering or gas metering, we can use this LPWAN technology. It is used in asset tracking, smart industry. So all these sensors or the devices data would be sent to the gateway. LoRa gateway would be collecting all this data, and then further it would be sending to the at the other side. It would be having internet connectivity. It could be Wi-Fi, Ethernet, or the cellular network. So here, the sometimes there is a scenario that like if we talk about a society where we have to do the electricity metering, so all the meters are very in a close proximity. We cannot directly install the cellular modem in this 2G 3G. That will be costly because it has recurring cost. So it would be better the modem, the internet connectivity provider should be at the gateway side, and all the devices first send data to the gateway, and the single device that collects the data, and it will send all metered data to the server. So this local connectivity can be achieved by the LoRa, and the good thing that it consumes very less power, so it can sustain the battery for a long period of time, and this is the part of metering. The same way for the asset tracking, and this can be used in the LP1 can be used in dam water monitoring also, because we know that at the dam site, uh, we have to send very little amount of data, like we have to send only the water level, but there is sometimes no connectivity medium. We cannot have cellular connectivity there because it is at the remote area. Generally, people don't go there. So in those scenario, this LP-WAN is quite useful. We can make a local network, and we bring these gateways to an area where there is a cellular connectivity, and it can send data to the cloud server. So wherever there is a remote monitoring has to be done, LP-WAN is quite useful, where we don't have the cellular connectivity so easily available. And now we talk about IoT and the manufacturing process. Since we discussed that IoT is now, there is a region of IoT growth right now because the sensors are getting cheaper, connectivity is available, we have a lot of computing power. So now, because of these features, in the industries, IoT is widely adopted. We can install the sensors at each production process. We can collect the data. So the data can be collected in two types. It could be the machine data or the productivity data, and the another data is the IT data, right? Like labor who is monitoring that particular process, the production process. We can log the what is the working hours of the labor. We can log that data. Along with this, we can log the machine data and the environmental data also, like temperature, humidity, and what is the power consumption. All this data we can put the sensors, and we can bring this data at every production process to the server. So now you can assume that once the top management who can have the so much detailed data at every production process at with so minute details, he can like have very good business intelligence that at what portion or what particular part of the production process is giving less productivity or maybe consuming more power, or it is less efficient in compared to other part. So now he can like have a comparative study. So this is the beauty of IoT, that we can, and this is the term that we say the cyber physical integration. So here we are bringing the production part is the operation technology, but now we are bringing the IT part into this and bringing this all data to the cyber part, means the internet. So this is the kind of integration of operation technology and the internet technology, information technology. So because of this, we can have better supply chain management, we can have a better operating efficiency in the industries, we can have the predictive maintenance. Predictive maintenance is quite useful, like if there is a if there is an unplanned breakdown in an industry, one production process will be completely stalled, and there will be another production process that are dependent on this production process. So per day, there is a huge loss if there is an unplanned breakdown due to any machine failure or any part, anything. So it is always recommendable by the industry that they can predict what is the remaining useful lifetime of a particular machine, or when it needs the repair, the maintenance. So that before the it breaks down, it can be repaired, and there is no breakdown. Generally, there are planned breakdown. The industry know that when they have to do it, and they have mitigation plan that okay, the cost of that will be like they already estimated, and that is bearable. But unplanned breakdown is really disastrous for them. It is sometimes it is not recoverable for weeks or for months also. So it becomes a very huge loss for them. So predictive maintenance is very key factor for the industry. And then the inventory optimization. Once we have all the data in the on the server, we can do that. Sometimes maybe some raw material in abundance, and other thing is not. So we arrange only the sufficient amount of raw material that are needed for the production process. We need not to like put something is in abundance, another thing is in shortage. So that kind of problems will not be there if we use IoT properly in the industries. And now we talk about the industrial revolution. Because of these factors that we discussed in the last slide, now it is industries are asking for the revolution, and definitely there will be a revolution because of this IT and OT convergence. So this is we talk about that this is the industry 4.0. So this is the industrial fourth revolution. So we will see that what are the other revolution in short happened in the past. The first revolution happened when the steam engine was invented. So all the labor work was started being done by the steam engines. So the productivity increased up to some extent. And the second revolution came when electricity was invented. So because of the electricity, we were having the conveyor belts, and the production was little more improved. Then the third uh, revolution came when the electronics was invented. So all the big parts, electrical part, they were converted to the electronics, and we had better productivity at better cost. And then the last one is the cyber physical system where ITOT, and we will have the multiple uh, applications with the business intelligence. So this is called the smart automation also, and industry 4.0. So here we have to run IoT, machine learning, data analytics, cloud computing. All the technology will come together to make it successful and industry 4.0. And the approach, this shows that what is the upcoming approach that will happen in the industries under industry 4.0. So up to now, whenever something some breakdown used to happen in the industries, based on the log data we used to check what happened. So all the processing used to happen on the past data. So that used to call the diagnostic analytics. And the next approach is real-time analytics. So instead of working on the past data, if we start monitoring the real-time data, uh, it will call the in real-time analytics. So what is happening at this moment, that is in real-time data. But with doing this real-time analytics, real-time monitoring, still we cannot predict that what is going to happen in the future. Is machine working properly right now, or something wrong is going to happen in near future, that we cannot predict with the real time until unless we don't use the present data as well as the past data. By using present and past data, if we can predict the future, that is called the predictive analytics. And right now, all the industries, either it is oil and gas or the paper industries, whatever industry you talk about, everybody is trying to come or to adopt the predictive analytics, industry 4.0. So here we have to predict the equipment failure before it actually happens. And the last one is the prescriptive analytics. So here we can define that what should be the behavior of a machine. So we should have so much data that we can create such kind of environment in the industries that we can define that with these many constraints, this kind of output should come. So the last, the ultimate approach is the prescriptive analytics. Right now, we are still in the predictive analytics phase. We have not reached to prescriptive analytics. I talk about we, it means the general industries, the all over world, people are trying to achieve predictive maintenance at this moment. Once we achieve the predictive maintenance in the industry, the next one will be the prescriptive analytics, where we can define the future ourselves. So this is again industry 4.0, and it is, as I said, conglomerate of multiple technologies. It takes augmented reality, big data, autonomous robots. It will need simulation, system integration, IoT, and different kind of the data analytics. So this is like convergence of multiple technologies. And then the next application is in autonomous cars for IoT. So in autonomous car, if you talk, we know that there are multiple sensors in autonomous car, and these sensors have to be communicated to the local controller with a very good connectivity medium. It should be very high speed because autonomous car has to take decision instantly. It cannot wait and it cannot take data to the server and come back to it. So everything has to be kind of, this is the true example of edge computing. All the competition has to come in, has to happen in real time at the edge side. If some obstacle is coming in front of the car, it has to take the action immediately. So this kind of connectivity is given by the gigabit Ethernet. So all the sensor, either is lidar or the camera or motion sensor, obstacle sensors, all the sensors are connected to a local controller, and through the multiple gigabit Ethernet. So that is, and that controller would be running the centralized computing. It would integrate inputs from all the sensors, and it is kind of the human driver's brain. So it has to perform like a human driver is like acting. This controller should also behave in that way. And these are the same thing, that these are different kind of sensors: radar, lidar, sonar, camera, and this kind of things are there. So there will be controller, there will be bridges, Ethernet connectivity. So these are the different components inside the autonomous car. This is the internal to the autonomous car. And then autonomous car, there is external connectivity also comes into the picture, that we will cover in the next slide, and that is covered majorly through the 5G. So 5G will handle this kind of connectivity issues. So next comes the 5G. It is majorly 5G is again a very vast technology that takes care of even a control data that has to be transmitted from a sensor. So they have like generally the this when we started having 3G, 2G, 4G, those are for the high data rate, and 5G was initially also thought for the high data rate. But as IoT was booming, in IoT there are many applications where we don't need the high data rate. It is very low data rate because we have to send the control data. We have to monitor some parameters, or we have to send some control part to some of the actuators for controlling of some machines or some relays. So that very small chunk of data has to be transmitted. So 5G has been made so much flexible, modular, that it can attain the objective of having IoT as well as very high speed, and it can uh, cover up the need of the autonomous car applications where we need very high speed data rate, as well as the security. So security is also one part of security and surveillance that are driving the 5G. So in 5G, if we talk about all the autonomous car, we have to take care of the V2I. So there are multiple connectivities it has to handle. So vehicle to infrastructure, vehicle to device. There could be like bicycle or some other things are coming on the road. So device, this autonomous car or the vehicle has to sense all these things. Then vehicle to home. So this kind of um, vision has been made in 5G, that in case of emergency scenario, the autonomous car, the car should able to supply power to the home also in the emergency scenarios. So and it can take power from the grid, and it can supply power to the grid. That kind of thing is also there. And then vehicle to vehicular, that is anyway quite obvious that one vehicle is on the road, it should sense that what are other vehicles going on the road. And vehicle to the pedestrians are also it has to handle uh, for making the autonomous car successful. So all these things are like a mix of embedded IoT, data analytics, and cloud computing. That all all these technologies are driving the autonomous car. And then one vehicle to another vehicle, generally they talk through a base station. So there will be a tower, through which they will send data. But seeing the criticality of the, the safety on the road, there is another channel they have created, that is called side link. So side link is the vehicle to vehicular communication channel is called side link channel. Otherwise, once the vehicle is talking to base station, it is sending data, it is called uplink direction. And if it is receiving data from base station to the vehicle, it is called downlink. So downlink stream, uplink stream, and the side link stream. So this kind of nomenclature has been used in the autonomous car and 5G. Now we talk about the IoT deployment challenges. So we have seen that IoT is a complex ecosystem. So there is no proper standard for IoT that defines each and every rules for it. So there are, for protocol point of view, there are some proprietary protocols, there are some open source protocols, and sometimes they are not interoperable. So we have to use a converters for converting from one protocol to another protocol. There are lack of APIs, so there are no standard APIs. That is one of the issues in the uh, IoT. If you, like, if you are using one cloud platform, it is not easy to migrate from one cloud platform to another cloud platform. So, like if you have been working on Azure platform and now you want to move on AWS, it is not very easy migration. You have to uh, made the implementation from the scratch. So it is not interoperable architecture. It is not providing that kind of. And then the technological challenges: power usage, scalability, security, latency, communication mechanism. So these are the major challenges for deploying the IoT. And the major challenge is kind of the chicken egg problem. This IoT will become successful when the complementary technology, if we talk about, that is called cloud computing, machine learning, and this data analytics, they should also become successful. Then IoT will be successful, because just sending data, a lot of data from sensors to cloud, and we are not utilizing those data, it is like underutilization, or it is wastage of all this exercise, and there is no need of uh, putting so much efforts for creating such kind of ecosystem. So cloud computing, machine learning, all these technologies should also should become successful along with IoT. And then interoperability and standardization. So these things has to be sorted out by the government and the adequate radio spectrum. So like in for LPWAN, we have it is in ISM band, it works in ISM band. But still there are some restrictions in India, that we cannot use some of the bands. So I think government is also not only in India, in other countries also, they are trying to free up some underutilized spectrum, so that they can use in different kind of IoT applications. So this kind of things are already happening. And that the data challenge, the data that comes from the machine or from the sensors, it is quite kind of noisy, and we don't have sometimes the timestamps, because for running the proper analytics, we should have that what time this event had occurred. Sometimes it is timestamp, having the timestamp is also one kind of challenge. And the sometimes the data, if we get from the other sources, that is unreliable. And then the privacy and security is the major part. Industries, most of the industries, they are not, or they are kind of hesitant to adopt IoT, because of they are still feel that IoT is not using sufficient security uh, aspects. So until unless the security part is not solved, the wide deployment or wide adoption will not happen so easily. And so again, we have discussed this security and privacy part. This is uh, there are a lot of it is very important. Security is very important. There are some risk involved in this, and the challenges at the device side, network side, system side, and users level. So wherever there is a uh, kind of hopping, so we have to check at each hop that data has reached with complete integrity and with the security. So ciphering and the integrity part has to be taken care at each level, at each hop. Now we discuss about the careers and the needed skills. Since this is targeted for the students, so I thought we should discuss this part. So the skills and jobs are basically driven by the characteristics of the IoT. So as we discussed, there are multiple layers. So we should have expertise in each layer, or at least expertise in one layer and minimum knowledge about the other layers. How they have to be integrated to bring out a proper application. And these are the different companies that are working in different domains. So in personal devices, there are multiple companies: lifestyle, connected home, industry, internet of industrial internet. So these are multiple companies. It is not only in India; it is like worldwide companies. Those are working in different domains. So these are few of the companies that I have captured, but there are multiple, many more companies. And at the at the connectivity side or the software data platform side, these are the companies that those are working. And then there are protocol side, MQTT and this thing, and cloud side. These are a few more companies that I have listed down. And if we take a complete picture, the hardware side, in hardware there are multiple applications: healthcare, transportation. What are the different companies working? Software side, communication side, and data center provider, and the professional services. These are the various companies. So the at top side, these are the services company, and the below side, these are mostly the product companies. And these are the job roles in IoT. We have the hardware developers, embedded and firmware developers, IoT research engineer, IoT software engineer, network engineer, cloud data scientist. So this is the mix of EC, the electronics, and the computer science background people. So these are the different kind of job roles available in the industries in IoT domain. And if we talk about the skills, if this is easy, the hardware and electronics, embedded C programming is very much needed. Python and any other high-level language is preferable. RTOS, if we talk about the at the edge computing, RTOS is important. And as well as if we talk about at the server side, this is also required. Then the testing part, IoT platform, system and computation modeling. So this is part of the cloud computing or the computation computing. And then we should be the skills should be needed for the communication and the state protocol. Data analytics concept should also be there, and these are the technical skills, basic technical skills that those are needed. And then we talk about the soft skills. The major part is the willing to do experiments, because these are technology very in fancy state, very much in infancy state. So we have to do lot of experiments to know that what thing is suitable for which application. So it is not like written on the wall that, or there are defined rules that in this application these things will work. So even the big MNCs, they are also doing hit and trial in many of the cases. First of all, they make POC, proof of concept, and then they go for the proper deployment. So a lot of experiment is needed, and sharing of knowledge is also required. Because of this, we have a lot of open source solutions available. So these soft skills are needed. This kind of like attitude should be there in the students, that they should try to learn new things as much as possible. And I will quickly go through the UCT, our company, what they are doing in IoT domain. So we are working in the smart street light solution with a company in Hyderabad, and they are working with the light with the smart city with the project Light Bharat. So we are providing here the if we see the right side picture, there is the connectivity is needed for the light nodes, and it would be sending data to again to a gateway, wireless gateway over LoRa or LPWAN. So here the data that is transmitting that intensity or the luminance that is being transmitted by the light, what is the power consumption, and for how many hours it is lighting. So this all kind of information would be sent to the server using the gateway. So this first connectivity is on the LPWAN LoRa, and the further connectivity is over Wi-Fi or Ethernet or GPRS. So right now in our solution we are using 2G here, but in coming days maybe we will be using 4G. So all this data would be going to the server, and there we are running the analytics. So this software part is being handled by our collaborator in Hyderabad. This hardware and this device and the gateway part we are supplying for this project. And then we are doing something in smart irrigation. So there are solenoid bulbs in very big forms, and those should be controlled and start pumping the data, the pumping the water whenever there is a need. So based on the like humidity or the water level in the field, it should decide then when the irrigation has to start. So this kind of connectivity, this is our solution. We are again giving the end nodes that are connected to the solenoid valve that will supply actual water, and these are connected to a controller where all the control logic is has been put, and again it is connected to the LoRa because this solution has been deployed in big forms, and we need connectivity up to 500 meters or 1 kilometers, and laying down the wires for giving the control commands, it is not advisable in the fields. It is not easily maintainable. So wireless solution based on LPWAN is quite useful for this kind of application. And this is the product that we are supplying, and this is the this way it is being deployed in the fields. And then in smart factories where a lot of machine data has to be transmitted to the server, again there will be, this is the quite basic architecture. There will be nodes, and then there will be gateway, and it would be sending data to the cloud server. So again here we are giving multiple options. We are giving LPWAN based or Wi-Fi based solution, and at the backend side to the server side, again we are giving the cellular connectivity as well as the Ethernet connectivity. And this is for electrical meter reading that we are providing. So in India, a lot of meters that were deployed some time back, or maybe for the legacy meters, they don't have the cloud connectivity. Those are not smart meters. Now, whatever meters they are deploying, those are smart meters. But the already installed, they cannot remove in one go. So they are trying to make those meters smart. And sometimes the meters are, and most of these meters are in the village side, the rural area. So again, those meters data has to be collected on a gateway, and then it has to be transmitted to the server. So this kind of devices are quite useful. So again, it is LoRa based devices that takes data from the meter, and these meters are DLMS meter. So we have to read data on a DLMS interface, and then we have to transmit to the gateway over LoRa, and then further it will be sent to the server. So this is for the electrical metering, and then we have this wireless temperature humidity monitoring solution. So this sensor nodes we have made, and where temperature humidity can be sent to the gateway and further to the server. And these solutions are needed by all the industries, because there are norms by the government that uh, for each production process, during each production process, industry should log what was the temperature and humidity. So this is a kind of essential commodity for the industries. And these, whatever we have shown so far, those were the byproducts of our the main product. So our main product is into the industrial automation, where we provide the industrial gateways. So this is the typical scenario in one industry. Here, if you see the at the lowest layer, there will be equipment, machines, various sensors, and those would be sending data to various kind of interfaces. Some of the sensors would be sending data through Ethernet, Wi-Fi. Some would be sending data over RS-232, 485. So these are the typical standards in the industries that are being used. RS-485 or Modbus, Profibus. So these machines will send data, provide data on these interfaces, and we have to have some converters, or we have to have some mechanism so that this data can come to some gateway, and then the gateway will send data to the cloud server over MQTT using the either over Ethernet, Wi-Fi, or cellular. But the major challenge first is to take the data from different machines, and since these machines are from different kind of vendors, so some machine is supporting some kind of protocol, another is supporting another protocol. So this is the major challenge, that we have to first like convert to those data interfaces to a protocol that gateway is supporting, and then we take it. So there are these multiple layers. So UCT is offering in all the layers. So we are providing the protocol converters, and we are providing the gateways, and we are providing the cloud solution also. So we are providing the dashboard and the cloud connectivity, as well as business intelligence. We are running a predictive maintenance solution uh, at the server side. And for developing the solution, we have a tie-up with IIT Jodhpur. So this is a part of Industry 4.0 that we are running. And this was so far from the product side. We have something at the training part also. We had made during our product development. We found that we were not getting the proper skilled candidates. So we made a kit to which students or anybody can learn IoT, and it support. This kit is called Connectify, and it has five boards, five controllers: Arduino 8051, AVR, ARM, and ESP8266. So, and that daughter board will be mounted on this interface, and this is called a carrier board, where we have put lot of interfaces, I2C or peripherals, so that with the same carrier or the connectivity or the sensor board, students can learn multiple microcontrollers. Initially, Arduino is fine for classroom or college learning, but in industries, mostly ARM is being used. So for we have planned for the future as well as the legacy approach. Other than Connectify, we have LoRa, the LPWAN development board also. So this gives LoRa, and it has Arduino as a microcontroller, and it has multiple sensors on top of this. Uh, so like here you can see the this is a smoke detector, and some you can run the climate monitoring solution. So that kind of all the sensors are mounted on this development board. So this is LoRa development board. And now we discuss about the takeaway. What did you learn today? So this IoT will has to coexist with other technologies. I think that all you agree, right? After having so much discussion, if we include IoT with other technologies, we can have the improved decision making. So we have to work with big data, if sensor network, faster network, and cloud infrastructure. So all these technologies will come together to have a better business case. And if we talk about, we see the difference between the college project that you do and what is the industrial approach. So, so here, generally in college project, use Arduino or RPI. While in industrial products, we use ARM or SBC, single board computer, that is Toradex or some other kind of SBC. And college period, the demo is just for a few minutes or few hours, but industries it runs for the many years. So we have to have that kind of architecture, design, component selection. Our software should be that kind of robust that it can run for many years in industry. Diagnostics, if there is some problem happens on the after deployment on the field, so that kind of diagnostics should be available so that in minimal time we can rectify the problem. That kind of thing is not available in college project, but it is available in industries. Power consumption, you don't bother, but industries power consumption is a major factor. Device management, you generally work with one or two devices, you don't work with multiple devices, but industries works with hundred or thousands of devices in one go. So it has to manage so many devices. So that is a big challenge. Long-term stability, you don't bother in college, but industries has this solution should be stable enough. Ruggedness, then environment conditions, you don't bother, industries help to like made a product in such a way that it can work in extreme temperature conditions, extreme humidity conditions, and vibration conditions. There are multiple environmental scenarios where it has to work without any fault. Then security, you don't bother, but industries security should, IoT solution should be very much secure. Auto configuration. So if there is a new device coming up in a already a deployed solution, it should be auto configurable. So this is a major feature for the industry. Over the air firmware update that should be available in the industry product. Data volume. So volume of data will be huge in the industry. So we should be able to handle it. College, you don't bother about it. Scalability. Scalability is a major factor whenever we take to the initially the POC will happen, but after POC, little deployment, and then we think about the scaling up. So from 100 to thousands or to up to lakhs of sensors we start deploying. So in that scenario, our complete architecture IoT platform should be able to handle this sudden jump of the data volume. So that kind of design should be there. And then business data analytics and business intelligence should be there. And the cloud platform, generally in college, students use ThinkSpeak and SparkFun, but in industries, either it is AWS, Azure, Predix, or like we people are making our own IoT platform also. We are providing solution on AWS, but we are, because industries are sometimes skeptical about using this kind of cloud platform. They want to have their own solution and they want to have all the solution in their premises. So in that case, the proprietary IoT architecture platform is very much needed. And the final takeaway, IoT, if it is misunderstood or misconfigured, it can pose a lot of risk to the data privacy and safety. So we should be very much careful while deploying a IoT solution. And if it is understood and secured enough, it can bring huge value for the human life, and like it will create a huge value to all of us. And looking out the challenges in the job market, it is better to be prepared for upcoming technologies. So as all of you know that because of this COVID issue, a lot of companies are planning to leave from China, and India is ready to invite them. So I think this is the best time for the students to be better prepared for these kind of opportunities. So this is, we need to think that whatever industries would come here, are we skilled enough to provide the services to them? So if you feel that there is a chance of learning other things. I think it is a good time to learn, and we should utilize this time very wisely. So this is the, I think I have taken more time, more than 1 hour, but yeah, thanks for everybody. I am ready to take the questions now. Sir, Upen sir, is there any question? Can I check?
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions? Can we take the questions? You see
No,
any
sir.
questions?
We haven't designed any quiz sort of.
Okay, no questions from the audience. Okay, they cannot ask any question. Okay, sir. Then thank you from my side. If there are no questions, I think we can conclude the webinar now.
Yes, sir. The session was very
Anything you
great,
want
sir.
to add? Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, director sir, and thank you.